So, do I have this right? We see a motorcycle crash in a movie being projected on a random New York City building's sidewall and then pan down to an actual motorcycle accident? Is this real life?
No, it's not, Freddie Mercury. It's a movie, and a stylish one at that, meaning this parallel was done on purpose.
Is that a phone? Wait, is it a Secret Society clue? Is this National Treasure 3 or Now You See Me 3?
Is this Jeremy just pointing things out on the screen? Wait, is it Jeremy padding the sin count, bro? I think it's both, bro.
My fucking nephew killed a dog and he stole a car.
Most accurate description of the first movie ever.
Jeremy sends something he likes, cliche.
Also, whoever Peter Stormare is playing in this movie would be excellent at CinemaSins.
So apparently, just giving a brief synopsis of the previous film makes you excellent at CinemaSins? The f*** are you talking about, Jeremy?
You think it will stop now?
Yes? John has made it pretty clear that he just wants to retire and be left alone to mourn the loss of his wife. If you just give him his car back, he'd probably leave you alone and not kill more of your men.
This is you using information you gained after already watching this film in order to sin a character that doesn't have the information you do. The biggest surprise of this opening scene is that John does leave Abram alive, subverting expectations. This isn't something you could have known prior to watching this scene.
All this movie's opening badass John Wick moves are so shadowy, I'm sure Keanu didn't show up on set until they were a quarter of the way through filming, because that is not Keanu in this scene.
Bullshit. Keanu Reeves has been doing the vast majority of his own stunts since The Matrix. Here's a quote from Keanu himself stating that he does 90% of his own stunts in the John Wick franchise. If you think that dark alley scene is the other 10%, I've got some invigorating water from Flint, Michigan I'd like to sell you.
Don't worry, he's just driving a stupid old Ford Mustang Mach 1. We'll definitely catch him in our Ford Taurus taxicabs.
First of all, these aren't Ford Tauruses, they're Crown Victorias. Second, Mach 1 Mustangs from 1969 have roughly 250 horsepower with a top speed around 128 miles per hour, meaning the V8 239 horsepower Crown Vic would have absolutely zero problem keeping up. I mean, police use these cars for a reason.
This doesn't break John Wick's leg for the rest of all time.
That was a low-speed impact. I mean, sure, it could have caused some damage, but people survive these kinds of impacts all the time with nothing more than a few bruises.
That is the exact leg that just got rammed by the taxi, motherfuckers. I know everyone loves the action in these movies, and it's great action, but why does he have to be so indestructible? Either show him kicking ass with a broken leg, or don't show his leg getting rammed by a speeding car.
One explanation is that he's simply filled with adrenaline at this moment. Adrenaline is a natural painkiller and can allow humans to do things that would otherwise be impossible.
I like these movies, I really do. But John Wick is lucky as hell he isn't dead 5 separate times in this movie's opening.
Why do you send Jeremy for giving sins for liking something, Birdman? He doesn't do that.
Wick could kill this fool and end it now, but instead does the whole Neo peace bargaining thing, thereby letting Peter Stormare come back later in a future sequel.
It's called honor, fool. That was literally what you sinned earlier when you suggested that Abram should just give his car back. You said it yourself. Wick just wants to mourn his wife in peace. He doesn't want to kill Abram at all.
And no cops noticed his smashed car and missing door and pulled him over on his way home.
Is this a sin for the movie or a sin for the cops? Because I've seen this kind of shit in real life, so it can't be a sin for the movie. And the cops respect John and don't f*** with him. Remember the movie you sinned already?
I mean, since this movie appears to be picking up pretty much right after the last one left off, I guess he'd still be super mourning his wife. But as a movie viewer and an asshole, haven't we kind of already been there, done that on Wick's motivations?
You're answering yourself. This movie is set 4 days after the first one. But even if it weren't, it makes movie sense to show us his motivations within the film and to an audience that might need a refresher.
In case you forgot, John Wick's house is much nicer than yours.
Okay, why is this a sin? Some people have nice houses, big whoops.
Good dog.
For eating, something a dog needs neither training nor encouragement to do.
See, this is the problem I have when you sin consensus great films. The nitpicking here is insane. You can't find many things wrong with this film, so you have to drum up weak sauce sins to pad the sin count. How is this entertaining or funny to anyone? It's grating at best.
Every hitman keeps a ton of gold coins buried with their weapons. Duh. Or maybe those are poker chips, and this movie has even more in common with Casino Royale than the dead lover angle?
Hilarious.
So he took out an entire criminal enterprise last movie, but then almost immediately had to deal with the criminal enterprise of that first guy's brother or cousin or some shit. But after that, he believes he's truly done with this, to the point he's cementing his weapons into the floor.
Again, John is an honorable guy, and he is expecting Abram to honor their agreement. The previous film has already shown that John doesn't necessarily need his own weapons to f*** you up, and all these assassins operate on a code.
Also, let's walk through this. You believe for some reason you need to hide your guns and gold coins. Maybe you fear criminals, but this is more something someone would do if they feared cops. Regardless, you're going to take the time to do all this, but leave a giant cement scar so that it's obvious to criminals or cops alike that something is buried under here.
There's so much wrong here. I'm going to give you 5 sins off the rip. First of all, Wick is not hiding his guns and coins. John burying his weapons is supposed to signify his burial of his former life. Next, John doesn't fear cops. In fact, the cops seem to fear him, or at least respect him. Lastly, that cement scar would be covered by the rug that's there, should anyone be theonly stupid enough to break into Wick's home. Again.
This movie is basically action, John Wick reflecting. Action, John Wick reflecting. I bet the word reflecting is written in the script's parenthetical notes at least 30 times.
I'll take that bet. Well, would you look at that? Not one mention of the word reflecting.
John says, "I'm sorry, and I can't help you," to the guy who strongly implied John had no choice. And I think I know what the rest of the movie's going to be about.
So you're just sinning this film for getting its plot into motion? Hey, CinemaSins fanboys. Let's play a game. Which of these was CinemaSins doing in this sin? Was it A, satire, B, parody, or C, just joking? I know your pinball-sized brains work a little slow, so I'll give you a few seconds. All done? Okay, put down the Crayolas and calculators. The answer is D, none of these things.
Also, John's house has way too much f***ing glass for a guy who's so paranoid and suspicious he buries his guns and gold in cement in the basement. Why isn't this whole house a f***ing basement?
Your flawed premise is allowing you to erroneously sin this film multiple times, and I'm not going to let that slide. He's not hiding his guns from other people. He's hiding them from himself.
We get it!
Irony.
And no one even did a simple perimeter check to ensure Wick hadn't gotten out. The f***?
This contradicts your earlier sin when you said,
He survives this. So in addition to a broken leg from the taxi earlier, Wick should also spend the rest of the movie attached to an IV and possibly a breathing apparatus.
either you think that he shouldn't have survived the explosion in the first place, or you expect the goons to check to see if he's still alive. You don't get both.
And John Wick walked all the way to New York City. I'm not even exaggerating, people. That's literally what happened.
But you missed something. There's also John Wick and a dog in this frame. Why didn't you send that too? Since you're just pointing things out on the screen and all.
Hey, it's that Orange is the New Black actress. Rose something, Ruby something, Naked something. I can't remember her name. Not sure why.
But Birdman, CinemaSins is much funnier than you.
So wait, the gold coins are some sort of International Hitman Society currency that they can basically spend on these continental hotels that are scattered around the globe?
Yes, and you knew damn well that's what those coins were for, so here's a sin for feigning ignorance earlier. Oops, was that 2? What I meant was 3.
Okay, so hitmen can also use the gold coins to buy assassin I guess, because guns and weapons are totally unavailable on the black market anyway.
This technically is the black market. Also, guns have serial numbers. The ones available on the non-assassin black market would most likely be traceable due to sloppy serial removal, if there is any at all.
This is the original map of the D'Antonio estate.
The f***? So this guy knows who Wick is here to kill?
Here you go again, manipulating a scene. This scene is part of a montage showing Wick gathering materials to take on Santino's sister. He's obviously already explained why he's there.
Recommend anything for the end of the night. Something big, bold.
This is a cool scene, I will grant you that. But the idea that Grand Ninja Master Ghost Assassin John Wick doesn't know before walking in here what guns he wants for the job is pretty silly.
But John knows what he wants. Something big, something bold. He's asking for a recommendation as there are clearly a lot of big and bold weapons there. Even Gordon Ramsay will ask for recommendations when sitting down in a restaurant. So what does this make you?
An idiot sandwich.
Boy, she wasn't given a lot to do in this movie, was she?
A relative newbie actor/model was given a role in a Hollywood movie where they don't do much. You don't say. Also, did you just assume their gender, you shitlord?
Playing your guitar with a fucking bow.
Jimmy Page, one of the most famous guitarists ever, played his guitar with a bow. So, sinning Led Zeppelin.
Just look at this. Look at it. All anyone had to do in the last 10 seconds was slightly glance upwards, and Wick is discovered.
During the previous sin, that I skipped because it was equally as stupid, you showed these two walking past the arch. If you look really closely, you can see that John didn't step under the arch until they had already passed it, meaning their chances of actually seeing him would be predicated on randomly looking up at a 20-foot wall for no reason.
You might think I'd sin her stripping as a desperate attempt to stay alive, but no. I'm sinning her for thinking that dress somehow wasn't revealing enough on its own to do the job without stripping.
She's not stripping to stay alive, dude. She's trying to get in the bath and kill herself.
John shoots her, presumably to help her soul avoid damnation, but she was 95% dead already. She slit her own wrists. Everything I know about the Bible and God and damnation suggests her soul is screwed, even if Wick's bullet ends her life slightly before the blood loss did.
John shot her to prove that he fulfilled the oath to the marker. And my Christian is a bit rusty, but as long as you are killed before you die from slitting your wrists, Odin will allow you to enter Valhalla.
Loose ends.
Cute, but the middle finger is not the sign for the number one.
But you know what it is the sign for, Jeremy? Exactly what I want to say to you for this stupid sin.
For the second time in this movie, John Wick's legs will be miraculously not broken after a car impact that definitely broke his legs.
Nope. I'm going to play this in slow motion for you so that you can see John reacted quickly enough and got his legs off the ground so that he actually lands on the hood of the car.
I mean, Keanu is more Jesus in this movie than he is in any of the Matrix films.
Well, according to the Torah, Jesus did a lot of things, like creating Asgard in 1 week, or killing Goliath with only the Philosopher's Stone. But I don't think he ever judo flipped a guy, and I'm pretty sure Neo could beat him in Yu-Gi-Oh!
There will be no business conducted on the continental grounds.
This kind of gentleman's agreement sounds good for a movie, but would be ignored as in the real world of underground assassin organizations.
Which is exactly what happened in the last film, that you sinned. Remember?
Say, why does the Hitman Hotel set in modern days still have rotary phones in the room? Is nostalgia a big thing with international assassins?
Considering they're still using fucking golden coins.
Even with the open contract on him and every hitman in the world after him, Wick easily made it back from Rome to New York without even changing identities or clothing.
He actually did change his clothes. Wick wore all black previously. Also, the hit was placed on him in the morning as he was leaving Italy. Please pay attention to the film you're attempting to nitpick.
Now that Wick has been shot in the torso, the movie will make a big deal out of his health and the pain from this wound, completely forgetting how it glossed over his clearly shattered leg from that car crash in the opening scene. As cool as it is to see them casually firing at one another, no one sees, hears, or feels any of these silenced bullets being fired. Come on.
Bullets cannot be silenced, only suppressed. But since we're nitpicking, I'm enjoying the irony of you lamenting no one hearing something that has been silenced.
This is the third best subway-based Keanu movie action sequence ever.
Jeremy sends something he likes cliche.
This bloody guy limp running through the terminal should be freaking out a lot more people than he actually is.
This is New York, Jeremy.
My old lady bleeds more than that every month. True story.
I need you to move me underground. Get me to him.
You are on a rooftop in broad daylight. If you can be here, you can navigate New York City on your own without help. But nice Matrix reunion, I guess.
But he barely made it to this rooftop. He's been fighting assassins non-stop along the way. Why do you refuse to pay attention? This fucking laugh.
How much help does it look like I need?
He said a hair before he has someone help him take off his jacket.
I mean, he's clearly referring to outside help. You know what? Never mind.
$7 million gets you 7 rounds.
Jesus, even Deadpool had more than that.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference.
Discount Alicia Keys here on the... Is that a violin or a viola? It's kind of going to ruin the sin if I don't know which one it is. F it.
It's a dumb sin anyway, as Alicia Keys plays the fucking piano. And it's a violin, by the way. This is a viola.
What the f? Wick fires all 7 of his bullets in the first 3 seconds of the conflict. I mean, granted, kind of has to. But now he's just going to end up picking up dead guys' guns to keep going. Which undercuts the whole 7 bullets for 7 million thing. Like, completely.
No, that was literally his plan. You said it yourself. He had to do this. And the Bowery King was saying that John cost him 7 million by agreeing to not kill him.
Wick gets luckily missed by bullets so many times in this movie they should change the title to Ex Machina. Except that would cause legal issues, but still.
Of all the times you've misused the phrase Deus Ex Machina, this has to be the most hilarious. I mean, he's not even being saved by anything, you goddamn dork.
Wick breaks the don't do business inside the walls of the secret assassin Continental Hotel chain rule. And while I'm still saying that rule is some bullshit, this is some obvious ass trilogy setup bullshit.
Why is this bullshit though? Simply because it sets up a third film? You seriously sinning the fact that we're getting a third John Wick?